Have you ever wondered what would happen if one of the world's oldest and most revered rivers, the Euphrates River, simply disappeared? Well, something frightening is happening, and the consequences may be deeper than you imagine. While the world seems distracted by other crises, the Euphrates, the cradle of civilizations, is visibly drying up. We're not just talking about an environmental issue, though that alone would be alarming, but about something that may be connected to ancient prophecies and events that few are willing to face head-on. After all, what is really behind this phenomenon? Could we be witnessing the first signs of an apocalyptic event? And most importantly, how does this affect you directly? Get ready to discover a truth that may completely change the way you see the world around you. The current situation of the Euphrates River is of extreme concern. What was once a majestic and vital river is now in an accelerated drying process, causing a devastating impact on millions of people who depend on its waters to survive. Imagine the anguish of farmers who, year after year, see their crops wither due to lack of adequate irrigation. And it's not just them, but the entire chain that depends on water, from small villages to large cities. A river that once brought life now becomes a symbol of despair and uncertainty. The Euphrates has always been much more than just a river. It is the beating heart of an entire region. Its importance transcends the simple act of providing water. It is a cultural, historical, and spiritual element. When we talk about drying up, we are not just discussing a natural phenomenon but a threat to the existence of entire civilizations. Think of the mother who doesn't know if she will have water for her children, or the farmer who can no longer grow the wheat that feeds his family. This reality imposes a deep reflection on the consequences of a natural resource that, for centuries, has sustained life. What makes this situation even more alarming is the combination of factors driving the desertification of the Euphrates. It's not just a matter of unfavorable climate but also disastrous policies and, in some cases, complete government inaction. Countries that rely on these waters seem trapped in a power game where the future of millions is at risk. And here arises the question that echoes within us all. How far can this negligence go? And, above all, what might happen next? After all, water is a precious commodity, and the Euphrates, a river that was once abundant, is disappearing before our eyes. Biblical prophecies have always evoked a mixture of fascination and fear, especially when associated with real-world events like the drying of the Euphrates River. Since ancient times, the scriptures have pointed to this river as a marker in the events that would precede the end of times. It's no wonder that many Bible scholars see the current situation of the Euphrates as a clear sign of the fulfillment of the prophecies described in the book of Revelation. Imagine, for a moment, the emotional and spiritual weight for those who believe that the final battle between Christ and Satan approaches with the drying of the river. For those who delve into sacred texts, the Euphrates holds special significance. It is mentioned as one of the rivers that flowed through the Garden of Eden and also as the border of the Promised Land to Abraham. Its drying, therefore, is not just an environmental issue but an indication that something larger, of biblical proportions, is in motion. It's interesting how prophecies, once seen by many as mere allegories, begin to come to life as changes in the natural world reflect what was written millennia ago. This type of correspondence cannot be ignored by those seeking to understand the signs of the times. What's most intriguing, however, is how these biblical prophecies have the power to shape people's perception of what's happening. For many, the drying of the Euphrates is not just a water crisis. It's a divine warning, a preparation for cataclysmic events. And this type of belief can influence everything from personal decisions to major social and religious movements. What we are witnessing may be interpreted as the beginning of a series of events that will culminate in the final battle, Armageddon. But does everyone share this view? Or are we facing different interpretations of the same phenomenon? In recent times, social media has been flooded with disturbing videos claiming to capture demonic sounds coming from the dry bed of the Euphrates River. For many, these sounds are not mere coincidences, but rather the materialization of biblical prophecies that speak of fallen angels imprisoned in the depths of the river. The idea that what we are hearing could be the echo of these ancient beings carries a spiritual weight that is hard to ignore. Imagine walking through an area where, for centuries, a mighty river once flowed, only to be confronted by noises that seem to have come directly from the pages of Revelation. These videos, which quickly went viral, have sparked both fascination and fear. Human curiosity is a powerful motivator, and many wonder if these sounds are really of supernatural origin or if there is a more earthly explanation for them. However, for those who believe in the prophecies, these noises are a clear sign that the events described in the Bible are unfolding before our eyes. And this belief is reinforced by the idea that, in times of great change, the supernatural and the natural begin to intertwine in unexpected ways. The impact of these sounds goes beyond the simple terror they may provoke. They serve as a disturbing reminder that the world we know is full of mysteries we have yet to fully understand. And if these sounds are indeed the laments of fallen angels, what does that mean for the future of humanity? Are we about to witness events that challenge our understanding of the world and our very existence? From these signs, the narrative continues to unfold, opening new possibilities for interpretation and leaving everyone in suspense about what might happen next. The drought ravaging the Euphrates River cannot be attributed solely to climate change, although it plays a significant role. In recent years, the region has faced unpredictable weather patterns, with rainy seasons becoming shorter and summers longer. This imbalance has resulted in a drastic reduction in the river's water volume. However, the climate factor is only part of the problem. The mismanagement of water resources by the countries that share the Euphrates further exacerbates the situation, creating a crisis that could have been avoided with more efficient policies. It's impressive how the combination of poor political decisions and a lack of cooperation between nations can accelerate such a devastating process. Local governments, often tied to short-term economic interests, neglect the importance of preserving what remains of the Euphrates. Unchecked dam construction, overexploitation of its waters, and the absence of effective international agreements contribute to the river's desertification. Think about how the lack of sustainable planning can transform a once prosperous region into a desert, affecting millions of lives that depend directly on these waters. The issue is that as the climate continues to change, the window of opportunity to save the Euphrates is closing rapidly. Each passing year without coordinated and effective action brings the river closer to the point of no return. And the consequences of this inaction go far beyond water scarcity. We're talking about a social, economic, and even cultural impact that could resonate for generations. But is there still time to reverse this scenario? Or are we doomed to passively watch the disappearance of one of the most important rivers in human history? When it comes to the implications of Armageddon, the Euphrates River emerges as a central element in apocalyptic prophecies. The Bible mentions that the drying of the river would pave the way for the march of the kings of the East, leading to the final battle between the forces of good and evil. For many, the sight of a dry Euphrates is a harbinger that we are on the brink of this final conflict. This perspective places the current water crisis in a much broader context, where spiritual and theological issues blend with the political and natural events we are witnessing. It is a reminder that, for many, the end of times is not just a metaphor but an imminent reality. What makes this idea even more powerful is how it resonates with the global climate of uncertainty. In an increasingly unstable world, where environmental, social, and economic crises seem to be intensifying, the idea that we are heading toward a final confrontation gains strength. This apocalyptic vision is not just a reflection of religious beliefs but also a response to the fear and anxiety that many people feel about the future. And the Euphrates, with its rich history and symbolic significance, becomes the stage where these concerns manifest in a tangible and alarming way. However, the question remains, are we really as close to Armageddon as many believe? Or are these events merely part of a natural and historical cycle that has been interpreted through prophetic lenses? Regardless of the answer, the fact is that the situation of the Euphrates River forces us to reflect on our place in history and how our actions or inactions can have consequences far beyond the present. And so, the narrative continues, leaving everyone waiting for what comes next, as the shadow of Armageddon looms on the horizon. Have you realized how crucial it is to understand what's happening with the Euphrates River? This is a moment when we can no longer afford to ignore the signs the world is giving us. The knowledge you have just acquired is powerful, and now it is up to you to decide what to do with it. Will you simply watch as the world changes around you, or will you prepare and take action? Think about the implications of everything that has been discussed, from biblical prophecies to climate realities. How can you apply this understanding in your daily life? What concrete steps can you take to be more prepared for what's to come? I challenge you to reflect deeply on these questions and to engage with this knowledge. And if you want to continue exploring these themes and stay ahead, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Here, you'll find content that not only informs but can transform the way you see the world. Don't miss this opportunity to be better prepared for the future that is to come. After all, what you do with this knowledge could be the difference that changes your life.